It's good. Okay. So far.
Did you get everything sorted with the Movetus? Did you need anything from it? Are you good? Okay.
Snake, you can log in now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You believe something? So a little person on.
Did you see my little person?
I did see a little person. Yeah.
She wanted her to unbound the thing. She likes to work on the Macs and print, do 3D prints.
Very cool.
And then,
Oh, very cool.
You drop by the unbound.
yeah, she likes to go over there. And it's really good for her to learn that technology. So I just work and she.
Whatever Jennifer's watching, she's hearing it. She's hearing the conversation between Nick and Bridget. Which one said you were up?
We're in.
Yep.
All righty. It is 7 p.m. on Wednesday, April 19th. This is the regular meeting, call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Meridian Library District. Welcome, everyone. We will.
It might be laggy.
Sorry, I will begin. For those of you that may be present here tonight or unfamiliar, we do not have a public comment item on our agenda this evening. However, we welcome comments from the public. Welcome to just after the meeting or submit comments in writing. We have our comment form on our website There is not an opportunity for the public to participate in the meeting and there are questions and they'll try to observe for a while. But if you do have questions for the board, we can definitely talk about that after the meeting. So we will begin with item number 1 on our agenda, the consent agenda. We have the regular meeting minutes from March 15th, which were provided in our packet. And agenda items are considered without discussion as one motion. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
Josh?
We approve the consent agenda as published.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Destiny. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item number 2, the financial reports. We have the detailed financial reports and disbursements provided in our packets. It was good. Ellen, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Thank you. Laura, anything to add on financial? Okay. Questions, comments from the trustees?
Sure.
Go ahead, Josh.
I just want to give a shout out to Emma, the follow-up email, and in particular, the breakdown of personnel costs relative to overall budget.
Evan, do you have anything to add? I do not.
What's happening?
Thank you.
It's lagging.
Yes.
Questions, comments from the trustees?
It's your computer?
And I'm saying,
Go ahead.
Hold on 1 second.
shout out to the follow-up email, and in particular, the breakdown.
Oh, it's just 2 minutes.
Feedback.
We're hearing our own live broadcast.
Let's try now. Okay.
That's not embarrassing to me at all.
Okay.
It never sounds the way you think.
Let's try now.
In any case, the personnel percentage breakdown was really useful to me, and I think that the breakdown with percentages versus where the money is going as far as collection versus personnel and development projects is fantastic to see. I appreciate your hard work on that and the clarification on some of the policy follow.
Thank you. And I did have one question on the professional services line item. There is kind of a breakdown between the audit and legal, and then there's an other category. It's about 10,900. Can you expand on that a bit?
That is the unique service charges that we use to collect materials that have not been returned. So it is a vendor that is giving us a good return on investment, but just wasn't budgeted for in the original budget.
Thank you. Any other questions? I would entertain a motion to approve item A, which is the financial reports.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Destiny.
I move that we approve financial reports as presented.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Josh, for the comment. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2B is the disbursements, which were provided as part of the same consolidated report. And there are all one action. Okay. All right, then that brings us next to the Links Library Consortium membership level update. They provided us with a memo about what's going on with the Links Consortium. Questions from the trustee? Go ahead, Jeff.
Who's that consortium? The library that will be leading the consortium is the Haley Public Library. That will be effective at the beginning of their fiscal year, which is the same as ours.
Okay, thank you. The Links Consortium is, of course, the group that shares materials between our libraries, which is a tremendous benefit for our patrons as well as patrons of other systems. But for the benefit of our trustees particularly, could you talk to me just a little bit about what those membership levels and how those fees are assessed?
So there are 2 levels of membership. Basically, being in the consortium, which allows you to have access to the ILS, which is the platform that you use to catalog items, check out items, things of that nature. That is all one shared resource, along with a few other resources and a part of the group that helps one another be able to work through different projects that you get in trouble. There is another level of that which we are a part of, which is the courier system. And the courier system allows us to not only have reciprocal borrowing, but reciprocal borrowing that is transferred between locations. The other libraries, we have reciprocal borrowing. You can use your card there, but there is no courier service. So you cannot order a book from Haley or Win the same way that you can say Caldwell or Boise from Meridian. Those libraries are looking to, there are a few libraries that do not have courier service, and those are largely due to geographic reasons, but they are in the process of considering moving to the courier system. The formula that we have to break out who pays what, very complicated, but roughly is based on the size of population that your library serves, the amount of items that your library system has, and also the amount of circulation that you have, in particular circulation of other people's items, and through your system, and with the courier system, that's broken out in how much you use the courier service. So very broad definition, I can give a much more detailed breakdown. Most likely when we do the expanded financial breakdown in May.
Thank you. Questions? Madam Chair, go ahead, Laura.
Nick, did Haley explain because of their career as well? Or?
I was 2 minutes late and that conversation was already done.
Okay.
But they've been talking about it for a while. They're going to, I think, work with some of the libraries that are closer to them geographically, and work with, I think I don't know if they're going with their own system or if they're going to try and use a shared ILS system, but they have libraries that are in much closer proximity to them than the rest of the population is.
And the reasoning that you've heard from other libraries or other members is it's just purely geographical and not political.
It is not, that's relatively new for any of those concerns. The concerns that those libraries have had is the cost, and the cost is prohibitive, mainly because of the distance that the courier system would have to travel. I don't know if they will, if they do come in as a courier member, if they will have the daily, or if they will have a modified version. It does add up for those libraries that have a very small budget.
So it looks like the consortium, and this is new to me, I kind of thought links was an Idaho-wide thing, but the member libraries are primarily in Treasure Valley or near proximity, and look like Twin Falls is the only outlier. But is there any kind of metrics, or is, okay, here's the links players, and here's who's contributing, who's having the most holes in their collections, so that we can see if there's an imbalance, or potentially we can focus our collection efforts on, let's say, for example, if we're pulling, 15% of the total activity is links, and some of the other libraries are pulling 5% or at the courier level. And it kind of ties into our service charge policy with that I saw reference with potentially going to $4 for something that's pulled but not picked up. Are those metrics available, or
so? Gosh, kind of answer that in most succinct way that I can. Start with the easy one in my head. The service charge that we'll be talking about later references the ILL, which is the interlibrary loan. And that is for items that are outside of our courier system. So if you wanted to get a book that you can only find at the, I don't know, the Topeka, Kansas library, we would reach out to them. They would mail it to us, and then it would check out through a modified system on our end, and then we'd send it back. And that was where that charge would come, is if that item was not picked up, and then we would have to charge for bringing it in and not having it utilized. But that is outside of this piece. In terms of the breakdown, so there's a couple of different pieces. There's the raw metric numbers that contribute to the shared cost formulas. And so there are these raw large number pieces that we'll go over next month and in the coming months with the new formulas for that. But the other piece would be looking at specifically what is coming in and going out. And that would be more of a collection piece. And we can do some things there, but it might be rather difficult, but we could start looking into it in terms of what that would look like. The trick is you're looking at, I don't know, I'd have to look at it. In thousands, hundreds of thousands, okay. Trying to get the thematic breakdown, it's a little tougher, but there are some other things that we can do to balance that out. But that's the beauty of the Links Consortium or any library consortium is we want to have that where we don't have to build up our collection individually to have all of the items. We have to build up the collection as a consortium or a community outside of just a single library entity to provide for our shared patronage. So it allows us to share the cost of buying millions of items to serve the wider community.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. And I mean, as I look at the list of members of the Links Consortium, I can't help but think that if we are contributing more, I'm totally fine with that, because the Meridian Library District is kind of a beacon of libraries, especially at the moment, and we have potentially much larger budgets and stuff. The Eagle Public Library or some of the outlying, in Jim and after they don't have quite the same resources that we do. So philosophically, even if it is not an even Steven kind of arrangement, I think that that's us fulfilling our role as a kind of a big dog.
I think, just my own anecdotal experience when I'm placing a book on hold, I say place request, and I'm not entirely sure even which collection it's coming from. It's just on the shelter. So for a user, it's beautifully seamless system. And it's part of our collection development policy that one of the things we look at in our material is the availability and the wider the value. So once in a while, but I think we'll look at that the data that we do have. Seeing none, we'll move forward then to item number 3, which I'm actually going to skip over because we covered the memo and both set the hearing date and covered the memo in item number 5. So we'll skip over item number 3. Sections. Item number 4 is to approve the updated local government investment or LGIP contact list. So this is the bank account, an investment pool that's handled by the state treasurer for Meridian Library and other local government entities to invest excess cash to improve return. So this is just to update the list of people on the account as well as the current board members with them. And questions? I entertain.
I move we update the LGIP contact list.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Josh, for the comment. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item number 5, the budget hearing date. So we are required to hold a public hearing when we amend our budget. And we do need to submit a date of our public hearing to the county. So we established that early in the year so that the county can get all of those dates collected and listed. Historically, Meridian Library Board has held the budget public hearing on the same day as our regular August meeting. We established our meetings for the year in June. We likely follow the same schedule and third Wednesday. So that would put our budget hearing date on August 16th. Do we specify the time?
Not necessarily the time, but it would be helpful, just to say what time we will be holding our general meetings going forward, that will not be changed.
So I would expect that we will set our meetings at 7 o'clock still on that third Wednesday, so it will be prior to that. All right, other questions or comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to establish the public hearing date for the FY 2024 budget as August 16th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Move that we establish the budget hearing date for the fiscal year 2024 budget effective August 16th.
Thank you, Josh. Second. Thank you, Destiny. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Good part of our business out of the way. We get to the really good stuff. Welcome Gabby and Whitney to talk with us about the summer reading program.
The first one, second.
Thank you, Madam Chair and trustees for having us this evening. I am Gabrielle Stiller, or Gabby, as all of my stories and kids know me. I'm the services librarian here at Cherry Lane. And I'm Whitney Garcia. I'm the community librarian in our outreach department. And the coaches here for summer reading. So we are going to share about what is upcoming and that we have to look forward to as a district here in 2023. So this year, we're going to kind of just give you a little bit of a big picture look of our program. This year, we are going to have all ages. Feedback we received from a lot of people was adults wanted to do it, seniors wanted to do it. And so this year we felt we had capacity to do so after coming out of COVID, where it was kind of like, you know, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. This year we were like, let's make it happen for adults. And we have buy-in from public facing teams as well, our reader services and info services to get adults on board as well. So we are very excited about that. Other feedback we've received is, you know, summer is more than just 30 days. We wanted it to be a longer program, keep that involvement all summer long. And so this year, their challenge is going to be 45 days. Whoa, okay. So it's going to be 45 days. And they can sign up, give more opportunities to sign up at various points through the summer. Because, you know, some people might be on vacation and then feel like I can't do it. This gives an opportunity. Our program will start June 1st, like it always does, and it's going to run through August 21st, and it'll coincide with school starting back. And we also had a lot of feedback about checking in throughout the program. They want to see their librarians. They want to be really involved with the staff. And so this year, we are going to have that involvement. There's going to be things around the library with the handprint. The theme is all together now this year. And so what better than to kind of create a human chain, see all the names of people that are involved, buttons, bookmarks, gift cards to local businesses, and then of course books, because what is summer reading about books. However, we are doing a few big changes this year. Several members of the summer reading team, we've been involved in an ICFL, Idaho Commission for Libraries-led discussion about building equity-based summers. And that has prompted us to look at changing up what we've been done. Just because we've done something historically does not mean it needs to remain the status quo. We always need to be growing, we always need to be evolving, we always need to be changing. And so that led us to do one thing that I am very, very, very excited about, which instead of tracking minutes read, and that is what we have always done most often, and it's like 20 minutes a day for 30 days. This year, we want it to be that you read for days only. Because for some kids, that 20 minutes is a chore, it's a burden. They maybe feel they are confident with just 10 minutes of reading, but we want them to feel like they have achieved a victory and success. Because summer reading is about that intrinsic love of falling in love with a book. It's not that extrinsic necessarily with the tangible reward. And so this year, doesn't matter how many minutes you read. It can be 5 minutes. It can be the super reader that's 2 hours. This year, we're only going to try to do days read. Let's level the playing field because we all have only 24 hours in a day. I know I wish I had more than 24 hours in a day. I don't, but let's start everybody off the same. And then this year, we've done this in years past, and thanks to generous sponsorships, we're able to do it again. They will be receiving books for signing up and for completing the program, because fundamentally we want books in the home, full stop. That is the important thing. So as a district, that is our focus. That was the team's focus. And so we wanted that to be what drove us. And we wanted that even if you didn't meet the end program, you still get a book in the home. And so that is two of the things that we are very, very, very excited about happening. And of course, what is summer reading without, of course, all the fun summer programming that we are able to do? We'll be having our summer reading kickoff June 1st at Settlers Park that we have had for years and years and years. Very excited about that. From 4:30 to 7:30, we will be partnering with many community businesses, vendors, food trucks. We'll have community heroes, like we will have Meridian Police, Meridian Fire, Treasure Valley Children's Theater. It's going to be a great and fun time. And we also made sure we worked with Parks and Rec. We are not going to be competing with baseball tournaments this year, so there will be parking. So we're very happy about that. It's a very big goal. We're going to be doing Treasure Valley Children's Theater is going to be doing performances free of charge across multiple branch locations. There will be 2 held here, one during the daytime hours and one evening hours. So we've also reached working families. There will be a show at Orchard Park and there will be a show at Silverstone. Because we are a district. We are not just Meridian Library at Cherry Lane, and we want to give all people here at Meridian the same opportunities and accessibility to these programs. We'll have weekly movie night days centered on themes of kindness and working together. There's really pitching under. We're going to have visits from Birds of Prey, First Robotics, BFC STEM Constellation Lab. Young Rembrandt will be doing classes free of charge to the community. Boise Urban Garden School. We're going to have bunches of different fun parties. Eric Carl's birthday, Bluey, which the kids have already gotten wind of and are very, very excited about. And then this year, we're going to also do a midsummer reading celebration, kind of a check-in point, like how's it going? How's your summer? And we're going to hold this one at Hillsdale Park, July 15th. It will be from 10 to noon. It'll be on the south side of town because, you know, we always do stuff on this side. So let's also be further reaching out. So those are just some of the highlights we've got this summer.
Okay, I'm going to talk about how we kind of do summer programming and summer reading in our outreach department. So it's not just about, like I said, within the library, we go outside of the library every year as well. We partner with several different partners like the Boys and Girls Club, several daycares. Parks and Rec has their own youth camps. They're called Variety, which is really cute. But they do summer programs. So we like to partner with them in the summer. I think last year we had about 11 partners, and this year we're on track to do at least 11, if not more. But we do it a little bit differently. So we like to encourage them to participate in programs and summer reading, but for partners, they have dozens and dozens of kids and not just, and then that's just one staff. So what we developed during COVID is what we call programs in a box. And that came out because we couldn't go to our partners like the daycares to do a program with the kids, what we traditionally did, excited about STEM stuff or science activities. So programs in a box was developed during COVID. So we gave them supplies and all the instructions this is how you do it, this is something you can do with your kids. And even through COVID and COVID dying down where we are now, our partners have said over and over again, they really appreciate this method because they can do it on their own time. Before it was what day we could come, when we could do it, and it was like cram it in all in an hour. And this one, we give them 3 different boxes full of programs that they can do over the summer months, and they can do it on their own time. In conjunction, we like to promote summer reading in a box. So it's kind of the same thing. It's just summer reading on the go. I give them all of the logs and sheets, but I have them tracked by group and not by individual child. That is a burden for the staff to have to keep track of individual children. And some of them are really super readers anyway, and they come to the library with their parents. So there's a lot of overlap there too sometimes. So they do it as a group and they get to pick their own goal. It's not the 20 minutes a day traditionally, if they want to say they read for 5 minutes a day, or if they want to do it by books. However, it works for them, that's how I want it to happen for them. And they are also going to be getting books. Usually we'll do like a book at the beginning and the end. For these guys, I usually do 1 book because we've gotten feedback that it's kind of confusing for some of them to give them both of them. But yeah, they get books too, part of summer reading. And then another big program we do during the summer is called Tales by Mail. And this is an extension program of one that we do during the school year that is sponsored through ICFL, the Idaho Commission for Libraries. It's called My First Books. And during the school year, we go I go to Paragon Elementary once a month to do a story time, and the kids get a book each month as well. But outreach, notice historically, in the summer, we're not reaching these kids, don't necessarily know where these kids went. And they're kind of identified being the schools that have, higher free lunches, lower income families, that kind of thing. We're like, okay, what are they doing in the summer? How do we reach them? So we decided to take the kiddos that we do during the school year with My Story Times, and then we extend the program essentially where we mail them books during the summer. So they will get 2 books in the month, again, just to get books in the home. That's the whole point that we're really trying to get across, encourage reading between families. And this year, it's really, really exciting and big because I did receive a $30,000 grant from the Idaho Commission for Libraries. It's an ESSER grant, and this is enabled us to really expand this program. So we are going to reach all the kindergartners and the preschools that we're doing this year, but we are also reaching out to school counselors, social workers, and teachers to identify 1st and 2nd graders that might be in a higher need that need books in the home in this program. So we are going to extend it to those grades, which is big, and they're going to get books targeted for their age group as well. And the other thing we got to do because we have this funding is to formally brand the program. So before we didn't really have, we just kind of called it book mailing before, which is a little bit confusing. And that evolved into Tales by Mail because that was kind of cute. And then we're like, okay, how do we expand this? So they know that that's this program with the Meridian Library District. So this year we formally branded. We did hire a graphic designer. She used to be in a play here, Jenna Lee. And she came up with a bunch of cute designs. And I'm going to show that on my next slide so you can kind of see what the branding is going to look like. The other portion that we have never done, and we've done this, I want to say 6 years now. Yeah, 6 years. We've never actually evaluated any of the data that we've collected. We've collected data for 6 years, but we've actually never had a process to what we're going to do with that. How do we evaluate that? So we came up with a formal process and revamped all of our surveys. So that way we can measure data going forward, especially since we're hitting kids that are 1st and 2nd grade who have probably already been in our program prior. So we can even look at back data to see how they're doing with the reading levels, how this helped them improve being part of this program. And now my favorite and fun part, I'm going to show you some of the branding that we have. The Tales by Mail branding, like I said, it generally helps us come up with it. We have fun little stamps that are going to go on all of the letters, which is the example I have over here. Basically, it's going to be whatever kiddo you kind of worked with during the school year for your school Paragon. They're going to have a letter with my face on it, so they kind of get to know me if they haven't already known me. And the parents are like, okay, this is Miss Whitney, this is Miss Gabby. And yeah, it's just really cute and fun. And we actually made stickers and bookmarks that they're going to get with these books that we're mailing as well. And yeah, it was just a really good way that they can recognize what this program is and who it's coming from.
Just to expand on that, there are how many sites? We have 9 sites.
We have 9 sites.
We have 9 different sites. That also includes some developmental preschools. And again, this spans the district of Meridian. So some are north side, some are south side. I go to Chief Joseph School of the Arts, so they will get ones with my face on it. And we all also now have a caricature that is very, you know, I guess, symbolic of us, if you will. And like, this is an example of the form that parents, because they opt into this program, we are asking language spoken in the home, because this year we are also able to purchase books in English, non-English languages, so Spanish, Russian, whatever there might be. And then topics that kids like, because it's going to be very tailored to the child, just as if they were coming into the library and self-selecting. And then we are asking a question, you know, how are they doing with reading comprehension and recognition, and seeing how that evolves over time.
Yeah, and we made a great effort to include with the development of preschool, recognizing that where they're at with reading is completely different from you know, the average preschooler and kindergartner. So we kind of tailored to like, does your child like to interact with books? So we changed some of these questions so the parents kind of understand like what we're trying to really get at, which is to encourage them to read with their child or get their child to interact with books. We just want them to have a positive view on books and want to interact with them.
That is all we have. Does the board have any questions or anything? Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions, comments from the board? Go ahead, Laura.
I'm really excited about this this is my passion, so thank you so much for putting this together. I'm really excited about all the sites that you support in the level 6. My one question, are the letters translated into different languages?
So that was a piece we actually didn't mention. For summer reading, we actually got a lot of our marketing and stuff translated into Spanish. And we are going to get it translated for Tell by Mail materials into Spanish. And we are looking at other languages to expand to. We are trying to get Russian, but that's translators for that a little bit more difficult to find. So we're going to really try this year to get that. And if not, that's a big goal for next year to expand to other languages. Because every year we have families that indicate they speak another language. That was really important to determine this year that you were.
Because of the extra funding that we have, and this is the same template letter that we have used always going forward, having these extra funds, we were able to hire a translator that actually Whitney had a partnership with already. So again, building our community stakeholders, which is a huge importance to us. And then we will be able to have these moving forward. And so while Spanish is almost our most immediately identifiable, we are going to be able to go into other languages.
Chair. Kathy and Whitney, thank you so much for the work that you do. I'm particularly excited about the summer reading program. My kids look forward to it every year. So we're really excited about that. But I also wanted to commend you on your attention to equity and access and being really responsive to.
Thank you so much. It's been very important for us, both of us as chairs. Whitney serves on our BEI committee. And part of receiving this grant was, you know, building equity and who are we not reaching, and let's play a role in doing that. We're really excited to making that happen here.
Great, thank you. I'm excited about the community connection element. I mean, I think that's such an important part of our mission. I would love that we're in place to connect with each other. So excited to see the visual and the handprints around the library. That's kickoff events and fantastic, and having that midsummer event bring people together. It's my heart. I love that aspect of it. It's really important. And I'm also excited for the data evaluation. What that looks like. Probably not in this, but there are the organizations that work with the refugee populations. Local, training, welcome center. They might be able to connect with translators. If you could actually do those. I do have, we partner with Janus, and they do a lot of work with refugees. And they did give me a list of interpreters, but they can be expensive, but since we do have the grant, it's something we can look at and evaluate and see if that it's definitely worth spending the money on, just trying to find resources for it. So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Brings us to item number 7 on our agenda, our director's report.
I need to stop go warning.
Oh, I should have, I promote.
Let me see if I can get back into.
Yeah.
And I will pull up my slide that does not have two pictures on it. So as I'm pulling that up, the kids absolutely love the programs. I mean, with me, we're talking about in 2020, yeah. My son was at one of those schools that got the books in the mail and as a kindergartner. He absolutely loved it. They are very happy to have Miss Gabby as the one who comes into their school. We're trying to meet this just the other day about not being able to drive the bookmobile the way that Miss Gabby does. So it's great fun. All right. With that, I will try and quickly go through my monthly update. So I tried to pull out some of the highlights from our board reports. We updated the format of our board reports this month to hopefully provide more concise information and not have duplicate information or gap information. And so they're consolidated. And I pulled some of the pieces out from that. So some of the admin updates from communication marketing, our social media engagement is up 115% over February 2023. Jen is killing it on there, along with all the team members that are doing social media for us. Jennifer has developed a social media calendar scheduled to plan ahead with a lot more consistency. Our social media posts and campaigns, and they are going to be using LibraryWare to start an external newsletter. That way we can help keep our community more informed with information that we would like to be sharing with them on services, programs, any updates that we may have. Public record requests, we had 6. In March, we had 1 request for reconsideration that's being processed currently. That is almost complete. And that was for rainbow shoes. Last month was a busy one for all of us. The Ada County Commissioner did unanimously vote to deny the petition to dissolve the district. Probably butcher the date and write it down at March 29th. That serves me correct. And then our Human Resources Department, they have been extremely busy the last few months, filling the vacancies that we needed to hire to fully staff Orchard Park. And the good and the bad of some of the hires that we've had, not only at Orchard Park, but across the district, is we had staff that were 19 hours or 29 hours or a lower level position moving to higher level positions, which is great, but now we have to backfill their positions. So it just prolongs the status of having a full staff. But to me, that is a really good problem to have. It means that we're doing a good job of hiring the right people the first time and making sure that they get the skills they want and need to move up as they see them. It's not a given. I know staff would like to have it be a given that you're here long enough, you get to move up to the next spot, but it's very competitive to get those spots. I'm very proud of the team for taking those opportunities and those chances. So a lot of onboardings and more positions opening up now as we prepare for summer. From the foundation friends, the foundation launched a 7-week Libraries Connect series on social media, and it shows how the library district serves the community with resources and programming. There has been a resurgence in the sales of the bonfire shirt that they have been selling, and another $15,000. I don't have the total since that campaign started, but it is climbing high, and it has done wonders for providing the equipment and furnishings of the sensory room and some of the other rooms at Orchard Park. And they received $1,400 in online donations. Lots of wonderful messages. I'm not going to read one of these, but lots of exclamation marks. Capital projects, almost, I keep saying we're almost there, but we really almost are there with Orchard Park. The pieces that we needed to get final occupancy and not just limited occupancy have been completed. There are still a handful of tenant improvements, but they are not germane for the occupancy of the building. And so we will get those as supplies allow. The shelves have been installed, the books are going on them. It's starting to look like a real library in there. We're very excited to get that building ready to go. And then Dusty and Jason are working with Brighton and LKB architects to design the South Branch at the Pinnacle subdivision. And they are far along in that. I think I've seen now the third iteration of the design. That's looking good. And this week they'll be doing some additional design elements with more of the like structural pieces. Where do the electrical outlets go? And then we get to tell them we need double the electrical outlets that you're giving us. It's always a fun conversation in any library. Happened every single one I've been a part of. But it's going quite well, and I'm excited for that project to continue. Support services, we got fiber in underground. It is way faster, and as soon as we get the last piece of firewall updated to a new piece, it will be able to do a full gig at Unbound. There was a lot of challenges in getting the fiber to that building, working with our provider and with ACHD right-of-ways and all the fun things that come with crossing a road. But we got it, and it's much, much better. Speaking of roads, we are still working to repave Leisure Lane. We sought multiple quotes, got one back, and they about 22,000, but there's some additional permitting things that we're expecting it to be about 25,000 to repave our section of Leisure Lane. Hopefully we can get that going soon. Support services, so this is all our back end stuff. This is a small table of computer and network use. So almost 2,000 unique users in the month of March on our computer and network, Wi-Fi network. Almost 3,000 sessions, average time 90 minutes. We have almost identical numbers for computer usage as wireless usage. So lots of people using the networks. Looking at circulation, check-ins, checkouts, and accounts created, all those numbers are up year to date. Really quick, 122,000 items checked out in the month of March. As we track this and pull it out very clearly each month, we'll see large increases once we hit June, and then those check-in numbers will start to scare us starting in August. So, reference questions. So these are some of the other things that we track. How many questions are people asking? We also keep track of other breakdowns of that in terms of what types of questions with the directional, quality, those types of things. So 5,300 questions answered in March across our district. For 1,100, almost 1,200 deliveries, our home delivery program, that took 3,000 items. It's like lots of 3D prints and outreach interactions, 548, which is a huge increase from last year, largely because we're able to work with some of the partners that we hadn't been able to work with the previous few years. This is a new one that we started tracking, thanks to Patricia, and this is showing how much we are using or how much our rooms are being used by the public. And so the rooms are, if you ever try to get a room like after school in one of the study rooms, you'll know it is a high demand to be able to use those spaces. When we were opening Unbound, meeting room space was one of the most coveted things that the business community spoke of when they came into the building. And it's still one of the most utilized aspects of Unbound, right behind 3D printing. So space is always at a premium. And then programs, we did over 121 programs, and you look at the total 171% increase over last year. So massive gains across the board. Some of the percentages are going to look a little wonky when we have some small numbers, but we're doing great. We're getting those programs back up, and we're seeing the community turn out for those programs and events. And then just more in terms of how many people are coming to all of the programs that we're doing. So over 3,000 people coming to the 120 programs. Some of those programs can get very full very quick. And then last thing I wanted to do was just read this. I need this so I can actually read it. But this is a message that we received from a patron about their experience in coming to the library. I will do my best to triple the words. My family and I visited the library earlier today to check out books for our 5-year-old daughter. She has an autism and can be difficult to understand and is very excitable. The lady who was helping us at the front desk was incredibly patient and kind to our daughter. She got my daughter her own library card and let her pick out the design she wanted. She also walked her through how to do the self-checkout for her books and carefully and clearly explained every step so that she could do it on her own. This is why we love visiting the library. My daughter was treated with respect and kindness, and it resulted in her loving her experience. I appreciate the care that everyone there shows to the patron, and I especially appreciate the extra time that the librarian took out of her day to help our daughter and give her such a wonderful experience. They're the reasons I love doing this job. Some things like this make me miss being on the front line. So I'm happy to be able to share this story with everyone. I believe that was everything that I had in my work report for today.
Thank you, Nick, and I appreciate your sharing that story. And what strikes me is that common theme that we see with reading, with you shared, libraries are for everyone, and it's about people feeling that sense of connection, that sense of welcome, and that sense of their needs to be met where they are at. And it's a credit to you, to your staff, that you see that throughout people's experience with the library, whether they're kids, seniors, women, challenges, just all kinds of ways that we see that very consistently in the experience of the library. Questions, comments from trustees?
No, sure.
Go ahead, John.
Nick, just to fill in the bonfire campaign, particular read band books have raised nearly $90,000 a day. Shirts have gone to every corner of the world, literally. It's fantastic to see, and Aaron Turner and the folks at the Marine Library Foundation, pat on the back of the fence.
Sure.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I think I sure like the statistics and especially the year-over-year comparisons. That's nice to see.
Madam Chair,
Nick, thank you. I too enjoy the statistics, and I am reading on social media, still about, some of our critics that libraries are going away and our statistics do not hear that at all. So thank you. Please thank our staff and the hard work they do. You know that it is hard work. So think about this. So I'm gonna have a couple questions. So on the room usage, because we're going to talk in our next item about room policy. So I think it was 13 groups or individuals use one of the sharing rooms. So that's just the public, that not.
Correct. 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 The room usage that I showed was only for public reservations. That does not include any of the programs that is posted.
And then hiring is a challenge, I think, for everyone. And it just got me thinking about use of volunteers. I know pre-COVID times, we had teens and probably some adults as well doing volunteers for reading, and people sign up and so forth. And even more online signups as an option as well. Is that something that's coming back, and do we use folks that come just for the summer as a temporary position or as a
Multiple answers, not clean answers, but I will do my best. Yes, we do use volunteers. Yes, we are looking for additional ways to re-engage volunteers and to complement the services and resources there and activities that the staff do. We do not have the same need at our summer reading program due to changes in how we administer signups and tracking and things of that nature. However, we are wanting to find ways to re-engage that population during the summer. As you all know, that's near and dear to my heart. It's how I started 23 years ago, and haven't stopped since. So finding ways to pull in the youth, and in particular the youth for the summer program, or at least in new and unique ways to be a benefit, not only to us, but to them as well. It is key, but volunteers are also tricky because they do take a lot of time to do, if you do it correctly. And one of our volunteer coordinators does all of it with such a fun and grace, and finds ways to truly engage volunteers and meet them and find ways to really utilize their skill sets. So I would like to do more, but we don't have as much as we have in the past. To the other part of the question, yes, we are looking at ways we can do hiring for summer. Some of that is in overstaffing with the 19-hour library assistants, and internally we mark those as go backfill because those have higher turnover as people, not just the ones that we hire for summer, but just in general, those positions turn over more quickly through attrition or through moving up into other positions. So we typically hire about 4 to 5 of those leading up to summer.
I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention that our road was invited and we're on a panel in Coeur d'Alene here last week, and I'm applaud for that, and it's already lessons learned or things that you can bring back to us as far as possible. That was one of the primary topics.
Yes, I did have an opportunity to speak in Coeur d'Alene. There was a library alliance group up there that invited me to speak as part of their board trustee panel, and it was a 2-hour panel with a former retired member of ICRIM, which is the Idaho County Risk Management Program that our library and most state agencies public agencies in Idaho are a part of. They provide training and insurance and legal risk pieces. So, and then two former board trustees, we talked about the role of a library board and how it interacts with the staff, how it interacts with the public, and what its job is to do to fulfill what they have been elected to do. And it was a great conversation, and the thing that I probably took away the most was their community is hurting, and they're going through a lot of the same struggles that most libraries, many libraries are going through throughout the country, and they have a very strong community support similar to what we have down here, and their community is rallying behind them. The organization that hosted the event was the GART group. It's Democrats and Republicans working together or something along those lines. Not really sure what but their goal is to break down divides and bring the community together and have open and honest conversations about what are the facts and what are the responsibilities and what can they do to good elected boards that function within what they're supposed to do. I did take a copy of one of their policies, and I started to look it over, but I don't have much to clean out of it yet, but it's a policy that they work with June Garcia, who's the consultant who led the director search for our library last summer, and I'm going to review that and see if it's how much of it we can glean and how much of it we can use as a reference tool.
Remember that no matter what they offer you, Nick, you have to be thoughtful. It's there. We're not going to let you go either way.
You guys are stuck with me. I'm sorry.
Any other comments on the directors? All right, hearing none, then we'll move forward to item number 8 on our agenda, which is job descriptions. We will provide a red line version of the job description in our packet to update and combine associate librarian and community specialist.
So this is a little bit different, just in terms of how these have been on here. Rather than putting them in the consent, I wanted to be able to talk about these individually a little bit and explain what we're doing with this. So these job descriptions were extremely similar, and the intent years ago when the associate librarian was moved from the title of program specialist to associate librarian, a lot of the purpose was to try and unify some of the sprawl of job description. So we're attempting to do some of that now and align these so that we have the same titles and the same expectations, but maybe different delivery platforms with how we provide those services across the district. They're going to have the same terminology and the same expectations for staff and the public.
Thank you. Questions on the updated job description? Seeing none, I entertain a motion.
And Chair,
Go ahead, Josh.
and Chair, I move that we approve the associate librarian job description and
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Laura, for the comment. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item number 9 on our agenda, policy reviews. Where one of our primary functions, key functions, is to establish policy for the library. The role of staff to preparation for those policies. We do a number of them. They are all posted on our website, and we do review them approximately annually. Don't always make changes, but We do review all of those policies here to give the board an opportunity to go over them and provide input, make changes as appropriate. So we do have 4 on our agenda this evening. We'll go through one at a time. We'll begin with service charges. So it's provided in our packet. There, received an email from Emma with an explanation on the update to and the interlibrary loan. So
the biggest thing to add is a lot of it has a lot of red line in this version, largely due to formatting. That's the bulk of it. Some of the costs did go up for interlibrary loan and for the unique collection, correct? And the unique collection one, that one was outside of our control. We got an increase from our provider, and so we needed to update that to reflect. We needed to update the service charge in here to reflect that change from our provider. And then the interlibrary loan one was needed to go up because we hadn't updated it in 10 years, and cost for shipping things has gone up a little bit in that fact. So, and then the rest of it is a lot of pieces. And then in terms of 3D printing, making it a little bit easier for staff to provide different material types at the proper cost. And the way that we had it been before was essentially a placeholder that we were using some materials that we hadn't used before. Now that we've used it for a little over a year, we're able to probably get the cost in line. And so doing a tiered system versus a system solely based on the type, but rather than the expense of this the unit itself purchase, we'll be able to provide more accurate costs for the patients.
Questions or comments on the service charge policy?
Sure.
Go ahead, Josh.
Nick, I had no idea that there were notary services available for the public, subject to availability. I wonder if you kind of fancy that at every branch, there are certain, how many librarians are also a notary public, and is that service you want to buy? And what are the
So the notary service is something that we've had for quite a while. It is highly dependent on who we have on staff, and if our notaries leave and we're able to train and fill that position. We had dropped a lot of it during the pandemic because we didn't have the need for it. But that is going back up, and our intent is to have at least 2 people at each of the branch locations who are qualified to be a notary.
For what it's worth, I really think that's a pretty valuable service that can help a lot of people that are patrons. And I mean, the fact that it is free, I don't know what kind of training and qualifications and recurring annual costs there are to keep the notaries down, but I think that's something well worth I'd encourage and making an optional additional duty to anybody on staff that wants to become a notary public. That I don't believe it's a terribly long or expensive process. I could be wrong on that, but that would improve their own marketability down the road. Kind of like investing into people. So I'll take that for what it's worth. That's it.
We'll see into it, but I know the cost is most or a lot of it is tied up in like the stamps and then the insurance piece of it. So.
Other questions on service charges or an entertain motion?
And sure, I apologize.
No worries.
I have another more of a comment for the non-resident library cards. I do know some folks that are not in our district that have gotten those cards in the past, and approximately, are we talking dozens of people or hundreds of people or thousands of people that are in that district?
So in the position you get one or?
Oh, no, that have, I'm sorry.
Got it. Just wanted to make sure that I was answering that correctly. I don't know that number off the top of my head. I can't say for a fact that I'm pretty certain we don't have thousands, 200.
Okay.
I think on 200.
And as I see the chart, in particular, the charts for seniors being $30 a year and less than half the rate, I think I'd be all in favor of reducing that, something like a nominal fee, a $5 fee or something like that. And the reason I say that is because typical Meridian, if you look at the levy rates, Ada County assessor, the tax burden on a typical household is about $60, I think, based on property value, on what the convention and such. And I think that if we make it much easier for seniors out of the district to use those services, I think that's a good thing. And it kind of goes back to the idea that I have in my mind of our library district being a beacon to the surrounding. So I don't know if that's an official motion for a change to the service charge policy or something that we can table for discussion or put on the agenda.
I would make an advisement that that be tabled to make sure that we don't have other requirements that we need to align with on that one.
Thank you, Josh and Nick. I appreciate that, and I think it is worth it looking into. And if there is a way to break down who those users are, then I don't know who's in the consortium off the top of my head, but many folks can access our services by getting a card at their home library, wherever they have, but rural county does not have libraries. They don't know, they don't seem to know that if those are part of the consortium.
Those libraries are not, the Notice, Karma, Glendale libraries are not, Middleton is not. There is no library service south of Nampa that I'm aware of. My friend actually was texting me asking how her and her family could get a library card, and they didn't have a library district that served them where they live out there. So there are a sizable amount. We can definitely take a look and see if we can reduce some of those costs. Some of the costs are higher for our library versus Nampa and Kuna. A lot of that comes down to the database access that we have that some of those other libraries don't have. That's where some of those costs had risen in years past, so we can definitely take a look at that and see where we can bring those numbers down.
I think it would be good to table the decision on the fee until we have a little bit more about this goes on there. So, the options before us is to table the policy for a future meeting or to approve the policy as is and then bring back an adjustment at a future time. So.
And sir, having said all that, I move that we approve the Meridian Library District Service Charge policy as presented currently.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Doug. Further comment? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to the next policy, the gifts and sponsorship. Of course, we do receive donations in various forms, and this kind of lays out the parameters. I think the important thing that stuck out to me is that making a gift to the library does not entitle you to place restrictions that don't jive with our other policies, right? So around our collection development and so forth. Additional comment.
To add on this one, a lot of cleanup, a lot of just kind of trying to get everything to align properly and with best practices. I will say that we did have all four of these reviewed by legal before coming. So just to make sure that everyone's at ease with that, that is part of the process. process. Should be good to go, pretty simple.
Questions or comments on the gifts policy?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Hey, does this have any bearing or correlation with the history collection? I mean, if someone's donating something for the Brady history collection, that doesn't apply to this policy.
For the most part, no. That would come in the donation policy, which is in the budget development policy, which dictates how items that will potentially go into our collection are processed. A gift would entail something typically a monetary value.
Yeah, I think it's, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comment or questions or a motion?
I move that we approve the gifts and sponsorship policy.
Thank you, Laura. Second. Thank you, Destiny. Other comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to our meeting room policy, and I appreciate your comment, Nick, on the legal review. This is an important one. When we make our meeting rooms available to the public as the policy makes clear, we do it without regard to the content of that meeting. We do, however, have a policy to address issues such as safety and disruption of other activities that may be occurring in the library and have some discretionary content. Keeping all of our patrons safe and not disrupting supply by others, but the content viewpoint of the meeting users would not be consideration there. So, other comments here?
Again, fairly simple. A lot of it is formatting cleanup and some clarification cleanup pieces. The biggest piece of change is down in the rate, the fee section, and updating the first hour free for all users, and rather than just the nonprofit 501c3, 501c6 government agencies and West data, simplifying that whole process, but increasing the large conference room here from 25 to 30, and then adding in the room rates for Orchard Park. And I guess the other biggest one is kind of calling out the study rooms a little bit more clearly, so that we have the ability to properly enforce the policy the way that the board intends.
Questions, comments on the meeting room policy? I entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Josh.
move that we approve the Brady Library District meeting room policy as presented.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Destiny. Further comment? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And that brings us finally to the fourth policy, the Meridian Library District Handbook Addendum. This is around. Let's being less specifically tied to COVID-19 and more generally to this illness and how.
This is a policy update as directed by our employment attorney and then reviewed by general counsel to update the handbook addendum that specifically was created to address COVID-19, but now is a more broad speaking piece to our employee handbook. And when we review the entire handbook, this will be adopted into the language of the handbook at that time.
Thank you. Comments, questions on the addendum update? Or an entertainment motion?
Sure.
Go ahead, Josh.
And Chair, I move that we approve the MLD handbook addendum as
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Destiny. Further comment? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item number 10 on our agenda, some adjustments to operating hours for Orchard Park. As you may recall, the board establishes operating hours for all the locations that are at our annual meeting in June. That is board action to use operating hours, so we'll need to make an adjustment. It's still a board action. So very exciting. We have the grand opening of the Orchard Park location on May 1st. So we're going to propose to open an hour later that day. So we'll have a little ceremonial celebration in the morning on May 1st. And so adjusting that to 10 a.m. instead of 9. And then the Meridian Library Foundation is planning a Orchard Park Gala on May 20th. And asked to close the location 1 hour early to reset.
Chair, I move that we approve the late open on May 1st and an early close on May 20th.
Thank you, Jeff. Further comment? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11. We covered this item under financial reports items. That brings us to item number 12, our future agenda items. We'll see some of the things that we talked about at some point in the future meeting, a mixed usage analysis, some info on demographics and geography of our non-resident partners. And one thing that we might want to consider for future agenda is public comments. We did remove public comment from our agenda, unfortunately. November of last year, we're having an ongoing issue with inappropriate language from commenters and also disruption throughout our meeting. Mentioned at the beginning, public is welcome to attend the meeting and watch the proceedings, but disrupting and shouting out comments throughout the business meeting is not. So we great regret removed the public comment item from our agenda. So I'm putting this before the trustees to think about, to consider. That's whether we bring that item back. And if we do, what kind of factors that we consider? We have flexibility that Idaho code does not require us to have public comment except in certain specific instances, for example, that our public hearing date. Take the comment from everyone at that meeting. Commissioner Mack in the hearing mentioned that they take public comment at the zoning hearings, but don't enter normal business meeting typically. So we have our normal business meeting once a month, but we can comment at that meeting is up to us to decide.
Madam Chair, I would like us to open our public comment section. Going back up, it's antithetical to what we do is not have it. Some ideas might be commenting on agenda items only. That I'm not married, but I really do like hearing what the public has to say, even if I don't agree with it. So I think that's an important part of what we do.
I agree with Laura on that point. I think it's important to have that time for folks to share their thoughts with us in person at the meetings. But I would just ask us all to consider kind of a contingency plan in case things turn ugly as they have in the past. Because while I recognize that we have a responsibility to really listen to Meridian residents and and engage with them, I also feel that we have a responsibility to protect the staff. And to make sure that they don't bear the brunt of some of the ugliness that we've seen recently. So I'd like to just be really thoughtful about the way that we resume public comment so that we can have a plan for if things get ugly again.
Other thoughts, comments? All right, I appreciate that feedback. Any other future agenda items for consideration from trustees?
Madam Chair, I'd like to consider if possible, like a co-meeting between our board and possibly our state legislators. District's boundaries. I think that would be a nice, we did that with the city council. I think that would be a nice way for us to get to know each other better and move to just a better understanding of what each of our roles are in supporting library.
Sure. I think that is a great idea. The one challenge that I see, and I don't know how, I'd have to dig into this, but because of the difference in between the school district or the city in terms of how they can call to order and meet that having a joint meeting in theory sounds great, but because they are not a separate entity outside of their larger entity, as such, it wouldn't be able to set up quite that way, but there might be other ways in which we could have that same effect. But in a joint piece is not feasible in so much as we did with the city.
Yeah, I would agree, Nick. I think the structure is not quite the same because they by themselves, they are not a but perhaps there's like a workshop type format or something. You know, I would love to have those discussions, and I know that at least one of them that I reached out to is very interested in joining this, so there would be some interest in conversation. Okay. All right, I think that concludes our business this evening. It is 8:23 and we are